next topic I would like to ask you is if you could introduce your YouTube channel, or that's the, I suppose you are vlogger, so it's a great part of your not job and hobby in one. What are the topics you are covering in your YouTube channel? You have more than 100,000 subscribers, and on the growing community of YouTube, you are one of the top atheists. So the same number of subscribers has, or a little more if I can say, a Filmason called Thunderfoot, which is actually in Prague.
I do not have more subscribers than Filmason.
Yes, quite. But it's interesting that 2 years before we have first atheistic meeting, and he is working in Prague, Filmason. So he was our guest, and to the last topic that would be the most difficult, and also about dictionaries. You said that from the dictionary, who is not the feminist have to be sexist or something like that. That's the
clarify.
Yeah, please clarify it. Yeah.
Clarify. The one and only definition the word feminist ever had,
was
someone who believes in the social, political, and economic equality that women should have. So if you look at the definition of the word, that's the only definition. Right? Now people want to argue that there's a different definition. Okay, well show me that there is some collective group that's representative of the feminist movement who uses that definition. Of course nobody can, because there really is only one definition. But the point is, according to the definition of the word, and this was just, I said this kind of as a joke, I mean it's just the definition. So if you take it as somebody who does not believe in it, what does that mean in the reverse? Well, the reverse would mean sexist. If you don't believe that women should have equality, then that means you believe in gender inequality, and that's the definition of sexism. I was expecting a laugh. I was not expecting 3 years worth of constant hate mail.
That's great. That's great that you are explaining what was your intention about it. So. For example, for me, it was quite unclear from the video cuts from the debate what was your intention to say to the public, because we know, or you can just look at the wiki that it's edited by this group, that there are many different groups of feminists. Some of them are saying that we have to crush capitalism, the different one. Yeah, you can find it, really material feminist there.
What the hell does capitalism got to do with feminism?
Really? There's the system of oppression made by the patriarchy, and if you are not against capitalism, you are not feminist. So you...
Wait, if you're not capitalist?
No. If you are against capitalism.
If you're against capitalism, then you're not feminist.
If you aren't against capitalism, you cannot be feminist.
Okay, one definition. If you believe that women should have social, economic, and political equality with men, you're feminist. That's it.
Great.
It's just like the definition of atheist.
Okay.
Now we bring it up all the time. If you don't believe in God, you're atheist. And people say, oh, well, just because I don't believe in God doesn't mean I'm atheist. Yeah, it does. But with feminism, I couldn't believe it. As hated as the word atheist is, feminist is hated far worse. Because people will argue, well, maybe according to the definition, which is the only thing that counts, maybe according to the definition of a feminist, but not in any other way. Well, what any other way is there? So, and this is a very confusing thing for me, because every single reasonable person I know in every avenue of life proudly identifies as a feminist. And not one of them ever is one of these ridiculous rad femmes that I keep hearing stories about. And I only ever heard stories that they... I actually did see a news story where somebody actually did some horrible, rude thing that was in the news, and I could verify that this was something that actually happened and that they identified as feminists. Okay, so there are shitheads. in the feminist movement. But it comes down to me, the only understanding of that word that I know, and I remember, you gotta remember, there's another advantage that I have in it, or disadvantage in this case, is that I'm a lot older than a lot of people that you will be hearing from on YouTube.
You are more than twice older than me, so yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out. So when I was a kid, I would hear the exact same arguments against feminism that I hear today, except that it wasn't against feminism, it was against women's libbers. That's what they used to be called back then. And I was always told that they were, you know, sex negative, but in the 1970s version of that word, you know, or that they were man-hating bull dykes. You know, this is the kind of thing. It was I can hear the same kind of absurd, ridiculous arguments today. It's just labeled feminism instead of. Okay,
that's great. That's great that you are actually you was referring to the vocabulary definition, and that's the problem in social sciences. Whether if you are using some term, you are subscribing to many different ideologies that you are using, or that you are using just the definition in a vocabulary. Now it makes sense to me.
I want to throw out something else since you brought it up, because as I said, when I used the F word, feminist.
Which one? Yeah.
When I describe myself using the F word, I mean, it was one time in a video 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Every single video I have ever uploaded since has been barraged with people attacking me for using that label. And the ridiculous accusations that they throw on top of it are just insane. So they think that I have the religion of feminism. What the hell does that even mean? I've drunk the social justice Kool-Aid. That doesn't mean anything either, right? So, I mean, I was very clear what I meant. You know, I believe that, you know, and people tell me that I don't know that we're a dimorphic species. So, yes, of course, I understand the word. That's why I specify social, political, economic, not biological equality, because I know that can't happen. I understand that, you know, the biology of the situation. But the accusations that I have a belief in all of the associated doctrines of patriarchy and whatever other words that I wasn't even familiar with at the time, you know, whether they throw these out there as if I'm supposed to believe and support them, and as if it's a religious position. This is absurd. When I did that presentation, the video that we're talking about is called something about questioning norms.
There was some discussion panels. One panel.
So the issue that I had was, at that time, I was already seeing a hell of a lot of infighting, which I thought was completely unnecessary. There are people who are interested in social justice for completely justifiable reasons. And there are people who object to that. And sometimes they object to it for justifiable reasons. I've seen situations where a feminist suggests something that I think is over the top, and so I would object. No. Like, for example, there was this one conference where somebody had suggested that people, or that the vendors at this atheist conference shouldn't be allowed to wear sexualized clothing. And I said, no, that's ridiculous. We're talking about adults, you know. Let them stay within the legal parameters, and they can decide for themselves what borders on good taste or not. You know, and you know there will be social repercussions if they exceed those norms. Okay, no problem. But the accusations that people make against me for the attempts at division, I wasn't trying to divide anybody. I literally was giving that presentation to say, shut up already. I said, we are outnumbered and outgunned and outfinanced. We have a common enemy. And what the hell are we fighting against ourselves for? It's like two bighorn sheep crashing in their heads, right? Surrounded by 1,000,000 wolves. Figure out what the fuck our enemy is, right? Stop. And so I actually asked people in the audience at that time, you know, to please minimize the infighting because it's pointless. And then other people have just escalated beyond that point. And I have been accused of all kinds of ridiculous things about, you know, being a strong advocate of atheism plus,
yeah,
which I objected to on video from the very beginning. It doesn't matter, you know, if people wanted to, because I once identified as a feminist and gave the definition and expressed exactly what I meant, right? Well, so now I'm being misrepresented as if I'm some kind of mangina or something like that. The accusations are absolutely absurd.
Well, I'm more than happy that you explain it from the beginning to the end, and that's great that we have it on tape. So now anyone who tries to attack you with some, as you said, you are supporter of whatever. Now you in 5 minutes explain everything. So I'm more than satisfied with this question, and now can I finally see clearly what's your position on it? Not that you hasn't provided enough information, but there is a quite big wave of accusation that against you. So thank you very much for explaining it. Really.
I have to tell you that this is the first time in a live conference that this has ever come up. Because, as I said, absolutely every single person I ever meet in real life, right, has no problem with this. It's only the people on YouTube that give me hell.
So maybe the reason is that you are first time in Europe, so we are...
No, it's not the first time in Europe.
In Czech Republic, okay, and then
for example,
we are together seeing each other for first time, and the YouTube is the only source we can know your opinion or you as a person.
When I was in London, when I was in Iceland, you know, I mean, these people, like Iceland brags that they are the most feminist country in the world. Yeah. They brag that men get paid maternity leave, guaranteed by law, where the United States doesn't even guarantee that for women yet. Because that's kind of what feminism...
Really?
Really. See, the idea of feminism, this is going to sound strange, this confuses a lot of people, what it was supposed to be. And I understand that there are people who push boundaries that I won't accept. Right? There are people that argue levels of feminism like, you know, to hell with you, no, that's not what it means. And I will correct feminists on this, because I think, honestly, I think there are going to be people who push extremes, and the only way that you're really going to be able to correct that is from within. People who identify as feminists are going to be the ones that have to correct other feminists. Because, and we've seen this from experience, people trying to correct feminism from outside fail constantly. It has to be people from the inside who correct themselves. But it was supposed to be that feminism was about equality. And one of the reason that I did that video, by the way, when I first heard people saying, well, if you're talking about equality for women, what about equality for men? Equality! The hell's your problem? But that really was the argument I was hearing. So when we're talking about equality for women, that doesn't mean chopping men down, right? It means giving women a hand up, right? That's what it was supposed to be. And a lot of people accused feminism being that, you know, you're supposed to cut men down, and it was always about promoting women, but it's not always about promoting women. I can tell you that when and I shouldn't probably go into a personal story, but there was a time when I was involved in a family court issue at this particular point in history where in Texas they told me that no lawyer will take the case of a man who's filing for custody of his child because the man always loses. The court always assumes that the woman is going to be the good mother, so they always give custody and you will always pay child support. Now, if she's already filed against you, then they'll take the case, but they'll never take it if you file. But the lawyers told me then that there were feminists protesting that stereotype at that time. And because of the feminist protest in Texas, a few years later, when I found myself testifying for another person in a very similar situation, suddenly we have where it's joint custody for everybody, and they don't automatically give the child to the female because they had that protest. So it does establish an equality for the sexes, which means that even when it's to the woman's advantage, in this case, because it wasn't equal, they fight for the equality. Now, I know that there are rad femmes out there that I've never met and I couldn't name, but if I ever did encounter one, I would be happy to correct that person.
Well, thank you for a long and definitely satisfying answer for that.
Thank you. This has been brewing in me for a long time.
well, actually, it was. I know all your opinions from the video, but this one was quite uncertain for the external view that doesn't spend much time to watching all of your work. So thank you for clarifying everything. And we
but
spent...
it still won't stop the hate mail. Watch that.
Well, no. Or they found another state as well.
It's a sad thing, and it's the last thing I'm going to say about this. I don't get hate mail from believers, neither Christian nor Muslim. I get volumes from atheists. Always, only, ever, over that. Because I once called myself a feminist. How dare you? That's all the hate mail I get, and I get it forever.
Well, yeah, part of them could be just trolls and spending their miserable life to writing